evening, greetings even. This is Doc Ock coming to you live tonight from Black Facts Central. As always, 9 p.m., that's my time. But this time, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're not doing a Dr. Seuss tonight, so there will be no rhyming. But we're still going to tell a story. I'm going to tell a story tonight. And first, I started off saying we're going to tell the story. Now, if I was there with you, we could do that. We could do it together. But since we're not, since we're apart, I will start and you're going to finish it. Because when I'm done with this story, it's going to be your job and your job and your job too to go ahead and pass this story on to somebody else. Okay? So tonight, we're coming from a book by the name of All Different Now. Name of the book, All Different Now. And this book is by a young woman from right here in Kent, Ohio, by the name of Angela Johnson. Okay, and she's got a beautifully illustrated book here, and it's all about what I like to call the first minute of a new day. First minute of a new day. Everything is all different now. Now, when we talk about the first minute of a new day, usually that's talking about daybreak, first minute of a new, no, excuse me, not daybreak. When does it change from one day to the next day? What time is it when it changes from one day to the next day? You think about it? That would be 12 a.m. At 12:01, that's the first minute of a new day. So our new day actually starts in the dead of night, pitch blackness. That's right. And who are we? Black Facts. That's why you see my logo over here behind me, right over here. Black Facts Educational Research Incorporated. And it's our job to research these things, these situations, and the people that we talk about and bring you the information. So, matter of fact, I'll just give you a little example here, right here. What do we got here? This book was published in 2014, so it's a recent publication. But Juneteenth is the first day of freedom, and Angela Johnson calls it all different now. Let's see why. Let's read the story and see why. Now, I will be editing this video, so you'll be able to see it again later. We'll do a watch party on it on another date, and you'll be able to see it along with the pictures from inside the book. So that's what I'm doing over here. I've got multiple cameras going at the same time. A June morning breeze off the port blew the smell of honeysuckle past the fields, across the yard, and into our room to wake us. Oh, these are beautiful pictures. I love the pictures in here. And nobody knew, as we ate a little, talked a little, and headed to the fields as the sun was rising, that soon it would be all different. Now, what was going to be different? Then we worked and worked and worked some more under the hot Texas sun until word spread from the port to town, through the countryside, and into the fields. That a Union general had read from a balcony that we were all now and forever free. And things would be all different now. I watched as my Aunt Laura sang as she held her baby, Mr. Jake, who some say was 100, cried quietly. And a group of grown people bowed their heads and whispered things to each other I could not hear. My mama held my hand softly and looked beyond as another breeze blew over and everything fell to a hush. But later, Papa, Mama, the aunts and uncles, all of my cousins had an afternoon picnic by the water. My baby brother crawled around our blanket as we listened to the sounds of the waves. And as more people joined us, we ate as a free people, laughed as a free people, and told stories as a free people. On into the night. What was before would be no more. Why? Because things were all different now. As we walked back home, the cool of the night soothed our tired feet that padded quietly past the shadowy fields of cotton. And in the morning, the smell of honeysuckle will wake me again beside my sisters and brother to a time that will be for all of us. All different now. All different now. Now, the reason this story is important is because this book is talking about what we call Juneteenth. All different now. It's talking about what we say right over here. Juneteenth. It's talking about Juneteenth. And Juneteenth occurs every year on, I believe it's either June 15th or June 17th. It's one of those 2 days in there. It's right there at the middle of the month. And that's the day when the last Black people realized that, there it is, June 19th. June 19th, 1865. That's when Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, with news that the Civil War had ended and all the slaves are free. So the war had ended back in some months before that. Maybe even as much as, no, it couldn't have been more than a year because it's 1865 still. So months before that, the war had ended. But all Black people were not told that it had ended. So if nobody told you that you were free, then things just went on as they had before, and you kept on picking a bale of cotton every day. Pick a bale a day. I'll do something on that in a little bit. So this was a very big deal, and it took a very long time for the news to get out. So to this day, we still celebrate Juneteenth. Every June 19th or thereabouts, we might celebrate it on the 15th to the 17th, different days. Right there in the middle of June, we take time out to remember and recollect that the last Black people that were informed of the end of the Civil War and the beginning of the Freedom Days were informed on June 19th. June 19th. So I'll just read another little section here from the book. During the war, this is in the back of the book, they talk about important days, dates. During the war, Union soldiers could not get past the Confederate troops and enter Texas to tell the slaves about the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, the proclamation was issued prior to the end of the war. President Lincoln issued an Emancipation Proclamation before the end of the war. Matter of fact, that would have been probably about January. Matter of fact, it says here, January 1st, 1863, that President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. So it took more than months. It took 2 full years for them to even realize that this proclamation had been issued. Now, where were we at? So they couldn't get past the Confederate troops and enter Texas to tell the slaves about the Emancipation Proclamation. Then when the war was over and slavery was officially illegal, plantation owners still didn't tell their slaves that they were free. As a result, the slaves in Texas did not know that they were free until Major General Granger's announcement. This is why his arrival in Texas is known as the day that the last slaves were freed, and is celebrated as the first Juneteenth. So it says here again, go back here. Where does it talk about it? April 9. So right about now, April 9. Matter of fact, that would have been yesterday, 1865. The Confederacy General Robert E. Lee surrendered at the McLean House in the village of Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia. There were battles and skirmishes after that date, but it's generally considered the official end of the Civil War. So if you think about that, comparing that to the times we're living in right now, April 9th, which was yesterday, end of the Civil War. But you might not find out, depending on where you were at. If you were down there deep in Texas, you might not have found out till June 19th. So that's almost 3 weeks in June, the entire month of May, plus a good 3 weeks in April. So that's 3, 6 plus 4, that's 10 weeks. So you actually would have ended up giving up 10 weeks of free labor as if you were a slave before you even knew that you were now free. Now, when you look at the book, I know everybody couldn't see the book because of the angles I'm using here. But if you look at the book, I'll show you a picture from out of the book. It shows here a picture. The last picture in the book shows the people, right? Shows what they did when they found out they were free. They got out of Dodge, okay? They made a move, packed their stuff up in their wagons with their mules and left town. They were out of there. History. It was over with, okay? Some people did do that. Not everybody did. Some people stuck around. Some people remained on the old plantations they'd been on, not just in Texas, but from whatever plantation they'd been on. A lot of people stayed on those plantations, and for generations they continued to live on those plantations. Why? Because they didn't have anywhere to go. Where were they going to get a job? Who was going to hire them? White folks didn't want to hire them. Number one, not necessarily because they were black, but because they knew they considered them to be unfair labor competition, that they would work for really cheap because they were desperate. They would take anything. Whatever you gave them, they'd take it. So they didn't want to hire them because it would have caused a ruckus amongst the lower class white people because they saw them as being competitors in the job market. It's all about them jobs. Who was going to get the job? So some people did stay, some people left. It all depended. A lot of my relatives, my personal relatives, they were living in Virginia. They stayed. They stayed there. They still there. They still living down there right now today. They're still living all around Centerville and Manassas, Virginia, all around over there near the battlefield. It's where they had the first battle of the Civil War was in Manassas. And then they came back for a replay and a second round. They did 2 rounds of battles in Manassas, right in our front yard and all around our yard. They were all over our yard, dying like flies. Okay. So history is not just something that you study in school and it's about some other people. History is about you. It's about your family. It's about your peoples. It's about my peoples. So when we're in school, we're studying these things, we should learn about these things because our people have participated in every kind of whatchamacallit, anything you could think of. We've been in it, we've been of it, we've been above it, we've been below it, we've been all around it and all about it. Whether you're talking about the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, the what's that other war they had? The World War I, World War II. We've been a part of every last one of those skirmishes. We were here when the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol was built. We built the Capitol. History is us. It's a part of us. So we should always know where we came from. So in closing, when you think about history, Don't think about it as some boring subject that somebody's making you study. Think about it as somebody's giving you an opportunity to learn something more about yourself and your relatives. You might not always know who all your relatives are, but the information is out there. If you go looking for it, I guarantee you're going to find it. Just like Alex Haley found his roots, you can find your roots too. You got some roots, just like me. I got some roots. I'd heard about some of my relatives, but I didn't know anything about them, and I'm still learning about them. And you see how old I am, but you got a chance to learn a little bit sooner than I did, only because I'm here passing some information on to you. Okay, consider that to be a blessing. All right, but meanwhile, don't think of it as a boring topic. Think of it as you're learning about yourself. And this is my last thought for the day, for the night. If you left your house going to school every day and forgot how to get home every day, think about how difficult your life would be. If you were supposed to walk home and every day you forgot how to get there, just think about how difficult your day was going to be. Because when it comes to time to go home, you're lost. Every single day you're lost. You're trying to get home and can't figure out how you got to school. You're going to be in problems. So you need to know where you came from in order to know where you're going. You need to know where you came from, because at some point you may need to return. All right? All right. So peace out without a doubt. We're going to keep on with this whole storytelling thing. I didn't read a rhyming story tonight, but tonight I have something for you real special for Sunday night to get you ready to go to school on Monday. Whether you're in a school building or whether you're doing schooling at home, wherever you may be. Because I'd like for everybody that hears these stories to go to sleep feeling free. Sleep tight, sleep right. Don't let them bed bugs bite. Peace out now.